Okay, Joe, you can see. Is the book showing? Do I turn the pages?
Go.
Hey, welcome tonight to Students on a Bet for a Better Future. Tonight, Eagle on the Air is going to bring you a very gothic American horror story. Since tomorrow is Halloween, and you'll be watching it. With a stroke of a pen, the Constitution, as well as all laws, are null and void. Could you believe we're going to talk about that? America changes overnight. But how? This presentation it's a three-part presentation. We're going to show you how the healthcare bill, how an executive order, 13603, and any little crisis destroys your freedom. In fact, your freedom was destroyed on March 16th, 2012. Well, let's call this show The Unholy Alliance, the unconstitutional consolidation of total power. You know, prior to Obama back in 2008 said something very prophetic. Now listen carefully, because I'm reading this part. People of all ages, nations, and skills will be asked to serve. We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve a national security objectives that we set. We still don't know who we are, but we've set. We'll get to that. We've got to have a civilian national security force, just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded. Here we go, folks, because now you're going to find out. What's the first entity that we're going to look at? Healthcare. You know, that magic little bill that we have to sign and put into effect so you can find out what's in it. Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you what's in it. One little thing that's in it tonight that should frighten the heck out of you. And that is, of the 19 violations, constitutional violations, which the hoodlums in black robes refuse to address, one violation is going to frighten. Did you know there is an army that Obama created in the healthcare bill? It's called the Ready Reserve Corps. Pretty good. RRC. And kind of scares me. In fact, when I tell you, it's going to scare the heck out of you too. Yeah, I want you to think about this. I want you to do homework. I want you just to believe what I say. Go to section 203. Go to section 5210. Oh, by the way, that's in HR 590. Not the 3200 that you see on the internet that they come around and they're telling you that this is in it, that's in it. That bill was put in the garbage, folks. Okay? There's no such bill. The bill is 3590. The section we're going to discuss just in the healthcare bill is section 203 and 5210. The unconstitutional private army that goes by the name the Ready Reserve Corps. So, what's the next thing we're going to look at? Oh, the executive order. Executive order 13603. Now, that's titled the National Defense Resource Preparation Order. Executive order. Which is nothing more than the right to implement martial law. Whether or not an emergency exists. That's interesting, isn't it? Obama granted himself unprecedented and unfettered dictatorial power to be used whenever he wants. Well, by the way, folks, it relegates every American subservient to the state. Heil Hitler. Oh, wait a minute. We'll get to that later. So, I learned both these you interlace them. Okay? The United States is no longer a republic. It's a dictatorship. With Obama in complete control of the United States. Oh, what's he saying? Whoa, hey, wait a minute. We just had a Ebola problem. There's that crisis that could pick up the phone and these two come alive. But let's hope that doesn't happen. You know, the Democrats never let a crisis go unanswered, wasted. Is that it? The Republicans are no better, so I'm very neutral there. They both stink. And the Democrats aren't Democrats. They're progressive communists. And the Republicans are just progressive socialists. Not all of them, thank the good Lord. We're becoming an administration. It's a total failure. Okay. Well, folks, let's start with 3590, the healthcare bill. But before I do that, I'm going to ask you all a question. Or something to think about. Do we have an Army? Do we have a Marine Corps? Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard? Does every state have its own National Guard? Do we have local police, state police, first responders, firemen, EMT? Seems like we have a heck of a lot of stuff in place, don't we? So why does Obama need a private ready reserve corps who are handpicked by him, the officers, to report directly to him, and Congress is no, that's it. With a struggle pit, there's no more Congress. You're gone. No authority. So let's look at this. And what do we see in that bill? Just a short little part of it. The Public Health Service Act of 42-204. Well, Mr. Obama's Health Act was amended to read the following. Let's go to Section 203. Now, what is on that? Commission Corps, Ready Reserve Corps, established. And he now has his own corps. The only problem with this so-called Army Corps, it's unconstitutional. That's right. I don't care what Judge Roberts and the rest of the buffoons said in the Supreme Court. The entire act is unconstitutional. But this totally unconstitutional that they refused to address. And it was before them. That is, this particular Army Corps violated Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 12. What is that? Oh, you cannot appropriate monies for more than 2 years for any Army Corps. Oh. And that counts for 4 years. So here we now have an Army 24 hours, by the way, before the bill was even executed and signed into law. Even though that was a fraudulent thing that we're going to go into at another show. For 24 hours, they insert this bill with this Army. It's kind of scary. So where do we go from here? We know it's unconstitutional. But what's in it? What's in this bill, this healthcare bill? Well, two people. It authorizes the Surgeon General, some hand-picked buffoon doctor that can't make it on the outside by Obama, that who could conscript, create a draft, and activate, put you in active duty. Declare.
For our younger viewers, go into the detail of a draft and explain how that would impact them.
Oh, this is wonderful. This is really great. It impacts you more than one way. First of all, we had a draft. Even Mr. Obama has a draft card. Oh, wait a minute. That was proven fraudulent. Where they would call you up at time of war. Like during Vietnam, they would have a lottery. They'd pick it out. You had to go. You had to report in. If it was an honest lottery. This one is not too honest. This is a better draft. This is, we draft you. We need you for our service corps. In other words, you're in the Army now. Or Navy, or wherever they want to put you. But in this particular case, it's the Army. But it's not the United States Army. It's the Civilian Ready Reserve, which we'll go into when we get to the executive order. So, who's in charge of this Army? Mr. Obama. Who's his general? Surgeon General. That's it, folks. Not the United States without congressional approval. But it gets even better. This particular Ready Reserve Corps bypassed the Government Tennis Act. Now, the young people know that you're not allowed to bring federal troops into any state unless you have the approval of the governor. Not with the health care bill. Obama could just come right in, and our commander-in-chief of the National Guard, in this case, is Blunderbuss in New Jersey, better known as Christie, he has no say over the National Guard any longer. Obama already takes him over. He takes over your state police, your local police, your EMT, and everything else on a phone call. If he decides he wants to call martial law, very simple, because he's a new dictator. So how do I go? Where do we go with this? Oh, by the way, he can deploy his DJs, his FEMA Corps, and his Ready Reserve Army into the state. Struggle pen. He told you. Phone call. Well, let's look at this a little close. What makes the act more frightening, this Ready Reserve is answered only to the president. Remind you, a guy named Hitler. Bypassing Congress, and supposedly at a time of emergency, you're supposed to go to Congress to get approval, but there's no approval needed. This, when crisscrossed with the executive order 13603, is going to frighten you. Because they can do this without any emergency. In other words, I want to take over the country, I'm going to do it right now with this executive order. Oh, come on, Nick, are you crazy? Well, let's in page 496, if you look, when he establishes the army and he put his people in charge, no one has a say. He can appoint all the officers, no one has a say. He can take commissioned officers from the regular army and put them in his Ready Reserve. They have no say. Or as if the Surgeon General wants them. Why do we need a medical corps? And now here's the funny thing about this medical corps. They have to go for military training. Medical corps, combat training, I have a problem with it. Because first of all, it's unconstitutional. And why did he create his own army? Hitler created an army too. It's called the SS. He had the SA, then he had the SS do away with the SA, and then he took everything, didn't he? That was the Enabling Act. Where do you hear the executive order? The Enabling Act is kindergarten. Okay? Wake up, folks. Wake up. We got a dictator on our hands. Well, according to Section 5210, the Ready Reserve, the purpose of it is to fulfill the need to have an additional commissioned corps personnel available on short notice. Now, this is very interesting. Similar to the Uniformed Services Reserve Program, please note they continually use the word and the term service, not military. Because as you're going to see in the executive order when we discuss service. Okay, so I'll just keep going on. You know that there's no specific need for this. Now, I'm trying to correlate this because there's another funny part about this Ready Reserve and the healthcare bill. Let me read Part C of that section. To be available, backfilling critical positions left vacant during deployment of active duty commissioned corps members, as well as deployment, now we're ready for this, to respond to public health emergencies. Public health. Sounds pretty decent right now. Both foreign and domestic. Does Ebola pop up in your mind? 3,000 troops going to West Africa. I hear no, I just got a finger up. 4,000 troops. That wasn't the kind of figure you think. 4,000 troops going to West Africa to protect what? They don't have an army to contain the people that are contaminated? In fact, Obama wants to bring them here to cure them. Why does he want it? Why would 40 countries said, you ain't coming in our country? I'm closing our airports. I'm closing our borders. What's to bring him here? Well, he's behind the wall of the White House or some rich man's house, I guess, and playing golf in, what is it, Martha's Vineyard or someplace? Excuse me. When did the Constitution say we have an obligation to protect foreign countries? We have an obligation to protect the United States and the people in here. No one else. But it's okay. So let's go to the executive order. Because you see, the healthcare order, the illegal army, was the formation of the army. Where does that fit in with an executive order? This is what you have to look. What's the executive order called? The National Defense Resource Preparedness Executive Order. I'm proud that they want to be prepared. Now, again, right at the beginning of this executive order, he can execute this order in an emergency or non-emergency. Whenever he decides it's necessary, he picks up that telephone. He already struck the pen when he signed the executive order. And picks up the telephone and says, implement it. Now, when we go through this executive order, you must be aware, okay, that it revokes all other previous issued orders, regulations, rules, certificates, directives, and other actions related to any and all functions affected by this order shall remain. Also, everything's in place. Oh no, I forgot to use the bold print. Except as they are inconsistent with this order. Therefore, this executive order becomes the law of the land. That was nice that we once had a constitution, isn't it? The law of the land. And you're going to say, wait a minute, Nick. When and where and how did Obama pass this, and how did it pass muster? How could he get an order like this? He's completely in charge. Well, let's turn the clock back, because I'm going to show you the most divisive, and this is the most underhanded executive order in the history of the United States, and the most damaging. On March 16th, 2012, at 5 p.m., Mr. Obama took out his pen and signed Executive Order 13603 into law, or he believes it's law, okay, with a stroke of a pen. And that set the stage for your dictatorship. Thank God he hasn't used that phone yet, folks. But beware, it's coming. Something you have to understand about this executive order, more serious, when you read some of the sections, okay? It would take, first of all, it would take you, the average person, a cadre of experts to break this order apart, which I said last night on YouTube. What you would do in this particular order, it relates to every other executive order, and someone trying to interrupt us? Okay. This particular executive order overpowers every other executive order except something's going on with the computer, the same thing we had on another program. But let me go on. I apologize. Okay? Let's break it down and see the content of what the dangers are incorporated therein. It gives the President of the United States, not Mr. Obama, the real President, unprecedented authority over the entire country. Water, transportation, minerals, labor, industry, under the guise of a national defense resource preparation, as it said. In short, all resources are subjugated to Mr. Obama, including your property. Yes, everything you own, including your person. What? Like in the health care bill, as I stated above, Mr. Obama chooses his office. It's ready to call. We'll get to that when we talk about the functions. Okay? authority, as will be all the czars, he puts in. He wouldn't call them czars, commissars. They're going to be heads of departments in every area. In other words, let's take transportation. You don't own your car anymore. In fact, they'll tell you where to walk. They'll tell you where you could drive. They'll tell you how you could drive. They'll tell you what highway you're allowed to go on. What? Yeah, walk. I said walk. You have no movement without permission from the head of your area, your specific area. Now, farm equipment. Oh, for energy. Every kind of energy, from solar to that doesn't work, windmills that are a waste, to oil, coal, wood, under his control. You will be rationed the way they want you to be rationed. You have farm? Go look at Section 201. You have machinery on your farm? No, you don't. The government owns your machinery, and as you find out, they own your farm. Fertilizers. You can't feed your plants because the government owns that. All minerals for plants and food. This small farmer, he's finished. He's finished. The multinational farms will take over under government control. And meanwhile, even though they're multinational, they're part of the system, he controls them too. With every corporation, as you'll find out. Okay, so he owns the farms, he owns the food. What else does he own? You know what scares me about that when I think about you own the food? It reminds me of Stalin and the Ukraine. They stopped at that. He surrounded them. Nothing grew. No food. They died. So if you own the food, you own the people, don't you? And now, in your section, you got this like commissar. He wants your house taxed. It's okay. There's no law. You can't go to Congress. He's in charge. Congress has no say. Let's go for food resources. He owns all food. If you store some food in your home, he can confiscate. If you have a food factory, facilities that make food, he controls where it goes. Kind of interesting for medical reserve army, isn't it? A ready reserve corps? Oh, I never told you, that's right. Yeah, I did say in the healthcare bill, when his ready reserve corps comes in, oh, he owns their National Guard and your police and your state troopers. This army just keeps getting bigger and bigger, doesn't it? Then the DHS. When you find out something about the DHS's army, we'll get into at the end of this, let's say FEMA. That's pretty interesting because guess what, folks? FEMA already knows every farm. Guess what, folks? The AmeriCorps, where he's recruiting his troops from 18 to 24, will go on to the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, not the United States Army. Is Ken getting scared yet? I hope so. And like Hitler, he was got a youth corps in the AmeriCorps, from 75,000 kids to 250,000, and then he's got a youth corps from 12 years old, or I think it's 13 to 17. Not letting a stone go unturned. We'll go into that even further because that's so frightening. Now, allow me to stress functions. When you go into this section, go into section 201, paragraph 1, and then look at, that's for farms, but look under the word, when you go into definitions, look at the word functions. Mr. Obama will appoint presidential power to all those he appoints. Now, they have presidential power, whether they're biased or not, their personal views, that particular individual's edicts are law. Not your police, not your state laws, not your federal laws. Obama's appointees are law. The head of each agency in procurement for national defense, they become the czars or the commissars. They're law. Congress has no say. Health resources. All you old suckers like me, we're in trouble. They own all medical, all medicine, all prohibition. Oh, by the way, that's already happening in the state of New Jersey and Agenda 21. You know, Section 21 talks about agriculture, food resources, livestock. I'm sorry, buddy, you just lost it. Plants, health, resource, equipment, commercial, management, centralized of goods, services, and resources. It gets worse because there's no more free market. If you have money in the bank, well, they probably confiscate that. But if you have money in the bank, you can't go to the store and the free market and say, oh, well, I want to sell this price. Oh, no, the government owns it. There's no more. The heads of each department have total present authority to hire your workers, fire your workers, work for government. They even tell the corporation or the individual what they can sell. I'm not making this up. That executive's order there. 13604. Go to the internet and read it if you can. And guess what? There is a great book out there called They Fired the First Shot. Now, if you look at this book, my God, it breaks it down. There's no author. Isn't that something? My belief is they put a monastery full of Jesuits or Augustinians. They're really smart, those Jesuits. And they broke this down. And they revealed everything in this order. In fact, in the book, they said there's no more demons in hell. They're all here. When you read this, please go. In fact, buy that book. It's a bestseller. They fired the first shot in 2012. Because that's the day we lost our country, by the way, folks. You know, but I'm going to go... I've been neglected here, but I'm going to bring it up at the end. How about Section 502? Are you ready for this? I have to read you the exact words in this executive order. Mothers and fathers, if you have children, listen. You of the college age, I really want you to listen. Those with corporations and business, you should listen to what I'm going to read you. The head of the agency, otherwise delegated functions. Now they put that function word again. Part G, under this order, is delegated the authority of the president, under the authority of the president, to employ persons of outstanding experience and ability. Catch this one. Ready? Without compensation, and employ experts. So if you're good at computer, you gotta go. You're not gonna get paid, but you work for them. Wait, Stalin. This brings tears to Stalin's eyes. Hitler's still shaking. Let me keep going. And employ experts. This is communism, and this is the dream of total communism. But it gets worse if you follow it. Right after the word compensation, there's a statement in Part 5 of that statement. Now, catch this, folks. The Secretary of Labor, remember labor camps? The Russians had those. This gets better than labor camp. Shall assist the director of the selective service. For you young men, that's what we used to draft. Unless you could get a draft card from Connecticut like Obama that doesn't match. It's a dead person, you're going to get drafted. Okay? In service, in development of policy regulated, they take care of induction, and they defer who they don't want to go, because if you're part of the party members, you're not going to have to go. Your kids can stay home, maybe. Of persons to duty in... Now, catch this. I might use the word service. Okay? Armed service. Not armed forces. This word service, you best be careful, because it goes through this whole thing about service, and service in FEMA, service in this. Not armed forces, folks. You know they keep cutting the armed forces because he want to be stronger than the armed forces. He already fired 300 generals, 3,000 majors and captains while they're in combat. Why doesn't he want an army? Why is he building an army bigger than our army, stronger than our army, more funded than our army? But I'll get to that. Now, as you know, for a draft, you need Congress and congressional approval. Not with the executive order. And they're not being drafted into the armed forces. This is Obama's service. Pretty good, huh? Yeah. They bypassed Congress. Congress. When they come out of their stupor from the bar, or their girlfriends, or whatever, or their black, I don't know. But you know they're not doing their job. But they did a good job of giving themselves a raise in 2013. By the way, Third Amendment, you know about quartering troops on your property? You don't even own your property. They can put their troops there. They can put other families there. Then they take everything you need. By the way, you don't even own your own car. You know you can't drive it without their permission? Because that's in the transportation part of this section. I'll tell you, you got to see Section 308. I'm not kidding you about that private property stuff. Well, and we're not in a war. War or peace, you can do this. Take your property, station troops on it. Let's go back to that pledging functions. I have to keep telling you that function. Because even the Russians, you know, they always had somebody who was in charge. This includes the defined powers, the duties, the authorities, the responsibilities, and the discretion of those particular individuals. Discretion gives the individual's present authority the power of personal discretion. I don't like your face. Get off your land, get out of your house, and go to that labor camp. I didn't say that. Who says that? These guys, his bias, his personal views, he can be doled out. Whatever functions his duty fall to pronounce the edicts as law. Whatever he says is law. There will be president, new presidents, new commissars. This executive order is dangerous, folks. Consider, I want you to consider something. He wants to bring in thousands upon thousands of Syrians, who else? Liberians, and others here. Why? Why is he opening the border to all these Islamic people? All people with diseases with open borders. That's it. You got it. The crisis. First of all, we'll have different groups, different hatreds. We'll have more people losing their heads. We'll have more people screaming. We'll have more disorder in the streets. Martial law. And what could you do in the martial law? That's right. I forgot. You could suspend the elections for the president, the upcoming presidential election, couldn't you? All through this one executive order. One order. An unconstitutional order. Now, you know, I went through this before I talk a little bit about FEMA, before I end the show. You must be asking yourself, hey, Nick, how the hell did he get this through? Nobody knows, just saying. Are you making this up? Why don't I tell you how this executive order came into being? As I said earlier, and I hope you remember, on March 16th at 5 o'clock, out came the pen. And with a stroke of a pen, he signed an executive order. Friday night, all the press is gone. All Congress is having their cocktails before they go home. So you say, well, Monday morning they would pick this up, right? No. You see, on March 19th, Monday morning, what did you read in your newspaper? From New York to California, Trayvon Martin was killed by women, you know, Hispanic white, whatever that is. Wait a minute. Trayvon Martin was killed. You know, that's the kid that Obama said, he could be my son. Even though he had a criminal record from ear to ear, tattoos on his face, guns in his head, drugs. But he could be my son. From right on 19th, Monday morning, Trayvon Martin, day and night, Trayvon Martin, Zimmerman. Do any of you know when that incident took place? It took place over that weekend from the 16th to the 19th, back in February. And it's coming out on March 19th, when it happened back in February. Cover up, huh? It's nice to own the press. It was like with the Soviet Union on Pravda. And all the other papers were closed. In this case, these commies that run all the newspapers, these left wing, they're not progressives are communists. Socialists are communists. Liberals would never have that. Classic liberals would debate you. Classic liberals are not idiots. They also know that there's not been a communist country or a socialist country that ever succeeded. So you were duped with a Trayvon Martin cover-up, weren't you? What's the difference, as Hillary would say? What's the difference? That you're now relegated to a slave. But you know, with all the bull, with all the draft, by the way, that's a lawsuit. You know why it's a lawsuit? You can't take a person to make them work without compensation unless they're a criminal. We gave up slavery with the 13th Amendment. Only a criminal can be forced to do something. He loses rights. We as American citizens don't lose our rights. But yet Mr. Obama took them away. And he relegated you to a slave. Everything is government. Government czars and commissars will tell you what to do. Congress, go home. The Reichstag is burned. Under your nose, you morons. Now, I said a little about FEMA before. Let me say something else. Do you know, in the beginning I told you about the Colorado Springs, what Obama stated on July 2nd, 2008, that we need a stronger army, we need a more funded army, we need a larger army. You know what he said that day too? I forgot to say it. He expanded AmeriCorps to 250,000 that day. But at the same time, he reduced the personnel in the United States Army from 75,000. That's scary. Of course, you know, the 18 to 24s, they went into there and they're being trained. He put $1.5 billion to AmeriCorps of your money. Service. Service to our country. He could serve. What was his word? Oh, here. Let me read him. I think I got it right here. As president, I will expand AmeriCorps to 250,000 slots from 75,000 and make that increase service. That's that word again. A vehicle to meet the national goals. The national goals. Okay. The providing health care and education. You know, we'll drum up how wonderful Islam is. You know, education. We're going to save our planet. Restoring our standing in the world. So that citizens see their effort connected to a common purpose. Common purpose, forward goals. Oh, now here's the best about that. You know what he said in 2008? First, I want to quote Nancy Pelosi. We got to pass the bill to see today. Obama says, the same day, I'm not going to tell you what your role should be. That's for you to discover. Up here, Bill. We're going to see what it's in. Executive orders, armies, but we have to do it. Then you'll see what you're going to get. What we're going to get is screwed. That's what we're going to get. You know, 12 to 17-year-old unions. Hey, there's good news. Even though it's Halloween, even though it's scary, there's good news. If you brain-dead fools wake up, because you'd have to be a fool not to wake up, Congress has the power to nullify this executive order that is basically unconstitutional, as is the health care bill. At least this section and 18 other sections, which I'll challenge anybody in the United States to a debate on, because you can't create an army, but he did. The health care bill, the executive order, is unconstitutional just from some of the things that I told you. It abrogates every law we have in the land. So let me set this record straight. Any law, whether it's a state law, a federal law, a treaty, or a Supreme Court decision, is null and void. It is of no law at all if it violates the United States Constitution. Now you have to get to your brain dead representatives, and you have to tell them, you know, I know you went to Washington, you had a lobotomy, but you know something? Your children and your grandchildren didn't have that lobotomy yet, and they're not going to be in charge. You nullify this. These are all our rights in the sewer. With a stroke of a pen, I have a pen and a phone. This is unconstitutional. This is blood in the streets. You close our borders. You protect us from disease. You protect us from terrorists. You take this order and you tell Obama what he can do with it. Put it in his memoirs. But you definitely, you called them and said, I want to know about 1306. I want to know 13603. I have no more rights, and neither do you as my representative. Nullify it. Now. Not tomorrow. Don't give him the opportunity. Don't let him bring in this country hundreds of thousands of refugees when there's no work for our people. Our urban areas are falling down. Don't let him take charge of your nation, my farm, my home, my business, my children. Friends. Was our freedom so cheaply won that we would give it up so quickly? It's got to be stopped, folks. Every member of the Senate, every member of Congress has to be told. You can send them this. You ask me. I'm very nervous tonight. I didn't come over the way I'd like to because we were supposed to have a live show, and for hours we couldn't get my computer to work for some reason. Don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. I pressed the wrong button. Maybe they hacked me. I don't know, but I put a show out last night, and it showed this. This is important. You break this down. You look at that health care bill, and you say, why is there an army in it? And why does this army? Why does my governor have no more charge? Why is he not in charge of my National Guard? Why does Mr. Obama take him over? Why is he taking over my state police? Why is he taking over my local police, my EMT, my fire departments? I want to know. I want to know why he has an army. What's wrong with our army? For over 200 years, we were able to defeat anybody. Why? Why? They think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Why do we have a Fast and Furious? So we can take away our firearms? My God. That makes no sense because crime went down as firearms increased in every state except, of course, like New Jersey, New York, and Chicago. And Chicago just, guess what? They just passed the right to carry. And guess what, folks? Crime's down 20%. Illinois, crime down 20%. They are weaker than us. This executive order, this health care bill, is slavery. The only way you can ever create a one-world government, folks, is to extinguish the flame of liberty that exists here in the United States. The only way. You cannot allow this to happen. There's a lot of us old guys out there. It's not going to matter. It's going to matter again, and I say it again and again and again. I'll be redundant. Our children. You know, the Democrats, their children, we got to give more money for children in school. No, it's not the children's school. It's the children's freedom. It's not the children that will go to indoctrinate our education system. It's the children that should grow up free to learn values and morals. I mean, I gotta laugh. Every time I think of what's going on, a court of hoodlums. 33 states just said we can have gay marriage. I don't care if 50 states said you can have it. You can't unless you repeal the Defense of Marriage Act. The people are sovereign, not governors, not judges. judges, not lawyers. The people. The people wanted that. It was voted by the representatives of the people, signed by a president of the United States, so all these states could jump up and down. And good, I hope they get diarrhea from jumping up and down. The law states there's a Defense of Marriage Act that Mr. Obama told his defense department, I don't want you to defend it. Well, come out of the closet, Mr. Obama. We don't really care. You want a union? Have a union. That way you can go through a divorce like the rest of us and really suffer with the lawyers. All these things. But this is crazy. To lose your freedom through an executive order that nullifies every single law we have, and we're going to accept this? Well, I'm in my 70s. I don't have that much time. How much time do you have? I guess you can serve them good night tonight and tell them what America was. I hope you will. And God bless every one of you out there. And I say you better stop praying. You pray that you can get to your Congress and your state representatives and scream and say, put a law in each of your states. We will not allow a ready reserve in our state. You nullify it in your states. And then you nullify it in Congress. I think I've said enough for tonight. God bless you and good night.
Bless this house, oh Lord, we pray. Make it safe by night and day. Bless these walls so firm and stout, keeping watch and trouble out.